In the world, one place that is known for being very mysterious due to its secrecy is the country of North Korea. What little information we do know about this country, however, is that it's one of the most oppressive in the world with multiple human rights abuses and infringements on freedoms. According to USA Today, at least 250,000 North Koreans live in prison camps, at least one-third of children are malnourished, and all media is controlled by government, etc. Due to these abuses by the North Korean government, many North Koreans try to escape their country, and these people are known as North Korean defectors. One group that tries to help these people escape is called Liberty North Korea, an NGO, also known as Link. What this group does is they run a modern-day underground railroad, starts in China and ends in Southeast Asia for North Korean defectors on the run. So what this group does overall is they help people escaping from North Korea on secret escape routes. When they get to China, they also help these defectors resettle in either South Korea or the United States. First, I will talk about the history of Liberty North Korea, second, the work they do, and third, what their future is. The organization Liberty North Korea went from originally being a student-led organization who goes for application to the North Korean people to actually work on the ground in North Korea. When Liberty North Korea was started, it was started by Yale University student named Adrian Hong in 2004 because he was inspired by the memoir of a North Korean defector. In an article by the Wall Street Journal, Adrian Hong was, quote, inspired by the memoir of a North Korean escapee who survived one of the country's concentration camps. Mr. Hong helped found a non-governmental organization called Liberty North Korea, focused on helping North Koreans escape. After Hong founded the organization, then spread to many colleges where students would form chapters of the group. In the chapters and the organization as a whole, they would focus on poster campaigns and urge Congress to advocate for North Korea, but would not be around until 8 years later that they would change their approach to help the North Korean people more directly. In another article by NK News in 2009, the new president of Liberty North Korea, Hannah Song, wanted to move away from focusing work on the high politics covered by traditionally media and government, instead emphasize efforts that would pay more attention to North Korean people more directly. By changing this approach, the organization then started to work on campaigns to promote the stories of North Korean defectors and put on thousands of events in public spaces to raise awareness for North Korean people. At the end of doing all these events, there was over $4 million collected that was used to help resell North Koreans living in China to be able to resell in South Korea or the US. As a result of this work done by Liberty North Korea, they got to the point where they are today, which is helping North Korean defectors. The work that Liberty North Korea does is mostly focused on helping North Korean defectors escape their country for a better life. Liberty North Korea does this by using their modern-day underground railroad routes to help the defectors into a safe country such as Southeast Asia, because China will deport them back to North Korea, the defectors. On the organization's website, they say about the escape routes that our 3,000-mile secret rescue route started in northern China and once a North Korean refugee reaches Southeast Asia. It's a modern-day underground railroad. And while on this journey, in order to ensure the safety of the North Korean defectors, Liberty North Korea has partners on the ground keeps them safe. When a refugee reaches a Southeast Asian country, a field team with the organization will meet and move the North Korean refugee into a safe location. Next, the organization will resettle the refugees to either South Korea or the US, where they'll be taught skills on how to survive in a world that's nothing like North Korea. According to Liberty North Korea's site, the number one skill taught to North Korean refugees is self-efficacy in order to promote success, achieve goals, and have a sense of belonging in the world they now live in. Some of the ways that this skill is developed is when Link connects the now former North Korean refugees with other former North Korean defectors that have been resettled for a while, where they will be the role models for the newly resettled North Koreans. Another way how Link develops the skill is they have newly resettled North Koreans do volunteer jobs so that they build a sense of identity and belonging among others whom are not North Korean. Because of the work that Liberty North Korea does, many North Korean defectors are now able to escape China safely without being deported and yet help with being resettled into a new and free home country. For the future of Liberty North Korea, the organization wants to continue on its current path of trying to raise awareness about North Korea and helping escaping North Koreans. This is because the organization sees what it currently does as being the best way to go forward for the future. In an article by Texas A&M's University's The Battalion News site, The communications director for Liberty North Korea, Marie Kim, says Liberty North Korea means Link's vision by enabling both awareness outside and within the country. She then goes on to say later that she hopes that by continuing this work, she hopes that now former resettled North Koreans can live happy and free lives for the rest of their life. She also says that one day she hopes that North Korea will become a free place, and she hopes that Link will take part in that process. Also in the same article by the Battalion, a former North Korean who went to Texas A&M and is involved with Link said human rights issues are important because we are human. We have to be compassionate for the people living in North Korea. It is because Link's mission is also pursue human rights as North Korea. There are none, and this is exactly why they leave North Korea. The future of the Liberty North Korea, their main focus is to mainly continue on what they've been doing, eventually work toward a better North Korea someday. To conclude, I've talked about the history of Liberty in North Korea, their present-day work on the ground, what their goals are for the future as well. This group has been very beneficial for North Korean defectors because they aid them on their escape for a better life and help sell them into a new life. With the help of Link, former North Korean refugees can now live a free life in a new country, along with knowing that the authorities from China or North Korea won't come after them anymore. Even though North Korea is one of the most secretive countries on earth, and we know they have multiple human rights abuses, it doesn't mean just because you live 12,000 miles away from them, does not mean that we should turn a blind eye to that. This is what Liberty North Korea aims to do. The organization of Link has been a great organization that they've been able to protect North Korean defectors from China, find them and send them back to North Korea where the punishment would be severe for the defector, the failed defector, and the organization, Link, also helps them starting a new life in a world that is not familiar to them and helps them make them feel like they are part of the world's family. Alright, well, I am finished with that.
Okay, great work, Adam. That was good. That was really good. Okay, I'll start right now. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Today I will be talking about a film that was released in the year 1997, titled Gattaca. It was directed by Andrew Niccol and it stars Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman. The film revolves around a biopunk future society where eugenics run the system, where there's genetic discrimination and people are selected through genetic modifications, by which a society that's run by, that where kids in the embryos are modified to have the parents' best hereditary traits. And in the society, the story revolves around Vincent Freeman, a person who was born outside this eugenic system, and how he tries to overcome the genetic discrimination and to fulfill his dream of going to space. And it is an interesting story, and the term eugenics is a synonym for genetic discrimination by gene editing. The film shows the stigma we have as a society towards gene editing and gene modification, and it is a prevalent sci-fi concept that has been done in various films as a thread, for example, from the Rise of Planet of the Apes, movies like The Fly, etc., showed a negative perspective to this method, and the scientific community, on the other hand, believes it to be a boon to the society, but society believes that it is something against the nature, something against God, something that cannot be procured. But in this age and day, it is procurable, or to be precise, it is procured by the discovery of CRISPR technology. CRISPR technology is a gene editing technique founded after years and years of research in the field of genetic engineering. The system consists of a modified RNA and a Cas9 enzyme that could edit and modify genes in a person. First, I will mention what CRISPR technology is and how it works, and then I will move on to its implications and limitations. So, what is CRISPR technology? CRISPR stands for the term clustered regularly interspaced short palindromic repeats. It is a method of genome editing that has revolutionized the research on human gene, which has enabled investigators to understand the contribution of a single gene product to a disease in an organism. Professor Hong-Yi Lee from the Department of Biomedical Science and Medicine of University of North Dakota has stated in an article that the origin of this technique dates back from 1970s when by the discovery of restriction enzymes that typically is found in bacteria that protects bacteria and against phages in the late 1970s. Scientists gained the ability to manipulate this technique to create an ability to precisely edit or alter DNA in a living eukaryotic cell. But theoretically, it was done, but that was they were only capable of doing it decades later. Professor Mazhar Adil from the Department of Biochemistry and Molecular Genetics in the University of Virginia, who has conducted research on genome and new genomic editing and technology, has stated in an article that the several key development in this field of genome editing was done in the 1980s, from mid to late 1980s. And it was done by, predominantly it was done by two scientists, Capecchi and Smithies. What happened was Capecchi and Smithies were able to derive a technology known as homologous recombination, by which was done in mammalian cells. They were able to find a method to alter the DNA and without in vitro, without taking it outside in a test tube. They were able to do that through they were able to do this. They were able to do this in mammalian cells. And what happened was, even though it was an effective technique, it was not an efficient method because it created a lot of mutations, and people were not able. It was not able to make precise editing. Precise editing was conducted even more years later, in the year 2012, by the scientists Jennifer Doudna and Emmanuel Carpentier, who were able to derive a method to precisely alter DNA and change a gene. For their work in this field, they received the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in the year 2020. So, what is the method? Like, how does CRISPR technology work? CRISPR or Cas9 is a sequence of DNA that is found in the bacteria. It is done by the bacteria naturally to edit genes and to cut off viruses and infections that cause harm to the bacteria. And what they did was they were able to use this technique to edit genes in humans naturally. Cas9 is an enzyme that is able to cut or modify a gene naturally, and they were able to make precise cuts onto the genes, and naturally the gene was modified to create a better version of the gene in vitro. And what they did is they took and modified RNA, and this modified RNA's objective is to find the DNA sequence that needs editing. And the enzyme which is binded on this modified RNA goes with the RNA, and when the RNA locates the DNA sequence that needs to be edited, Cas9 is released and binds with the DNA that creates an edit. This is the process by how CRISPR technology works. And people have been, and after its inception in 2012, a lot of advancement in various fields of technology has taken place. And to understand more of what are the implications we got from and the need for CRISPR technology CRISPR technology is able to, has been done in researches that is able to promote healthier plants, cure genetic disorders, and also make us resilient to different disorders that could be coming to us. And it's one of the revolutionary technologies because it's titled as one of the biggest achievements in biology. And cure in the department of scientist Mr. Satyanathan Patel from the department of the University of Berkeley has stated that who's doing research on cancer and urology department, they were able to understand that this technique could be used to treat cancer and precise could be able to properly cure cancer. Find a method to completely cure cancer, not a method to reduce the pain or something like that, to completely cure cancer. And also, Christopher Ginnell from the University of Virginia also has stated that in his article that it could find a feasible method to create germline genome editing, which means to edit a human babies to get better versions of human babies without some kids are born with HIV and AIDS. Like there's a method to avoid that hereditary trait to be passed down and create a more sustainable society in this world. But even with all these merits, there's still some limitations to CRISPR technology. CRISPR technology is not 100% efficient as it's told out in the world, because there has been, even some CRISPR who gets binded with the DNA does not make an edit, and there has been some cases where that happened, and it is not 100% accurate, but because in some cases the RNA modifier does not locate the DNA which is supposed to be, and it edits another DNA that creates mutation. So there's a risk factor for this DNA as all the gene editing has taken place. But the biggest threat that this faces in the society is the ethical issues that is accompanied with this technology. To understand the ethical issues of this one, the ethical issues has been with people. People have been as a stigma towards this gene editing, and it could be the best example for this statement was done by the research of a biochemist from China who his name is He Jiankhu, and he did research. He was able to he made research to edit the first human baby, and he practiced that theory, and he did implications on humans, and the kid was born. His method was that a person with HIV positive, a father with HIV positive, he took his sperm cells and edited out the CAR5, which was the DNA sequence that pass on the HIV virus. He edited out the CAR5 virus, and he combined it with the egg cells, and he was able to create the baby, and he was able to deliver the baby naturally. And the baby was not HIV positive. Also, the twins who were born were resilient to HIVs, and it's one of the biggest achievements as stated. But due to the ethical issues surrounding it and the limitations of human experimentation, He Jiankhu is serving 3 years in prison. He and his colleagues are serving 3 years in prison right now. So there is an ethical issues with it, like how, like movies like Gattaca has stated that like people could have this genetic discrimination, could have people be modified without proper authorization. That could happen. But ultimately, even with all these issues, we have to understand that the implications it provides, the genetic development it could bring, is also very, very crucial to a society for us, for our development, and for our sustainability. It's very important. So, as I conclude, I'll mention that CRISPR technology. I've mentioned that CRISPR technology, how CRISPR technology works, and what CRISPR technology is, how it works, and what are its implications and limitations. That's what I've summarized. And even though the genetic discrimination caused by gene editing in the movie Gattaca seems far-fetched, the ethical dilemma caused by gene editing is somewhat accurate. But nevertheless, it does not outweigh the benefits we gain from something like CRISPR technology. As I conclude, the implications of CRISPR technology has brought many advancements in different fields, and it will go on for the years to come. And I hope that it would be a cure to many disorders that did not have treatment until now through the process of homologous recombination. Thank you all.
Alright.
Hi, my name is Zoe Morgan. I'm pretty sure we all aware of the COVID-19 virus and that has been around since the end of 2019. There have been many deaths and some may have been your own loved ones. But did you know that there is a new strain for the virus? And did you know that the vaccine and did you know about the vaccines? Have you gotten yours? The different types of vaccines we have currently are Moderna, Pfizer, and Johnson and Johnson. But these vaccines are only helpful to the current variants of COVID-19. There are five different variants of this virus, and all of the vaccines help protect us from them. But there is a new variant of the virus that is 253% more transmittable. This variant is called Delta. This variant of the virus is more deadly, and the vaccines that we have now are not effective enough to fight against this virus. I have read a few articles about the vaccine and the new variant. Um, so, what is COVID 19? COVID 19 is a deadly virus that killed over 3 million people worldwide. How can we catch this virus? This virus can be caught by someone who is carrying the virus and is spreading it through coughing in the air. This is why we wear our mask to protect us from the particles in the air. So, how do you know if you have COVID? The most common symptoms right now are fever, dry cough, and tiredness. The more serious symptoms of COVID are difficulty breathing, which includes chest pain or pressure. Are the vaccines we have now effective enough to help us from COVID? To answer shortly, yes. These current vaccines we have now are to help fight off the virus in your body if you do happen to catch it. They also keep you from spreading the virus. There is a lot we are still learning about the vaccine and how it can help prevent us from getting sick from this deadly virus. And now the new transmittable variant Delta that is three times more deadly than the original virus itself. That's all I have for right now.
Okay, well, alright, I'll end the thing now. Again, hopefully it works. Alright?